There's a strange shift that begins the moment someone genuinely starts to awaken. And no, we're not talking about rubbing your eyes after a long night's sleep. This is the other kind of awakening, the one where the familiar world suddenly looks like a giant theatrical play. The scenery stays the same, the actors continue their roles, but something inside you whispers, "Oh, this has all been a brilliant illusion." It's as if consciousness itself arranged a cosmic game of hide and seek, and you just stumble backstage. But here's the part almost no one warns you about. When this awakening begins, a certain truth rises to the surface. Simple, undeniable, almost embarrassingly obvious once seen. And ironically, it's a truth that can't be handed to anyone on a silver platter. Not because it's dangerous, but because revealing it too directly actually prevents others from uncovering on their own. And that truth is this: you don't need to become anything. You're already what you've been searching for. The seeker and the sought, same thing. The witness and what's witnessed, no separation. The wave and the ocean, just one being playing a temporary game of, let's pretend we're different. At this point, someone might say, well, if it's that simple, why not just broadcast it to everyone? And this is where the puzzle becomes deliciously tricky. Tell someone you're already enlightened, and one of two things typically happens. Either they reject it instantly because it clashes with everything society teaches about progress, goals, self-improvement, or they accept it only in their mind, adding it to their collection of spiritual facts like a shiny new trophy. But the moment enlightenment is turned into a destination, something to chase, it slips through the fingers. It's like trying to grab your own shadow. The more you sprint after it, the more it mocks you. Stand still, though, and you notice it never left. This is why the great teachers of the past spoke in riddles and paradoxes that drive students half insane. They point toward the moon, but remind you not to worship the pointing finger. They craft entire systems of practice, knowing that one day you'll have to drop those very practices. They hand you a boat to cross the inner river, then gently warn you not to carry the boat on your head afterward. Because crossing is the point, not the boat. The Buddha spent decades teaching, then calmly announced that he had never taught anything at all. Lao Tzu began the Tao Te Ching by saying that the Tao you can describe isn't the real Tao. Jesus spoke in parables because a straightforward explanation would have missed the essence entirely. None of them were trying to be cryptic or theatrical, just for entertainment. They understood something essential. Truth can't be delivered. It can only be realized. And the funniest part? You can't even realize it by trying to realize it, because the one attempting it, the character running around shouting, "I must awaken," is a very illusion that needs to be seen through. The ego is like a dream character trying desperately to shake the dreamer awake, not knowing that the dreamer was never asleep. Awakening is a kind of beautiful impossibility, something that shouldn't make sense, yet somehow does. When true awakening dawns, it becomes clear that life has been one grand cosmic game of hide and seek. The universe, call it God, consciousness, the infinite, or simply that which refuses to fit into any human word, has been pretending to be you. It stepped into a costume of separation, vulnerability, and mortality so convincingly that it forgot it was acting. The character thinks it's the whole story. The wave insists it's not the ocean. An awakening is simply the moment the universe whispers, "Ah, there I am." The lifelong search doesn't conclude because something new is found. It ends because you notice the thing you were looking for was never missing in the first place. The treasure wasn't waiting at the end of the path. You were sitting on it the entire journey, occasionally using it as a cushion. But this realization comes with a curious danger. Once someone sees it clearly, truly, undeniably sees it, there's this overwhelming urge to run out into the world waving a spiritual flag, grabbing people by the shoulders and announcing, "You're already what you're searching for. Stop the quest. You're it." And this almost always backfires. Most people either think you've lost your mind, or worse, they take your revelation and turn it into a new doctrine. Suddenly, your spontaneous moment of clarity becomes a rule book. Your joyful pointing gesture becomes a monument. And the very finger meant to direct their gaze becomes the object of worship. This pattern has repeated itself endlessly. Jesus didn't plan on founding a religion. Buddha didn't set out to create Buddhism. They were simply expressing what they saw with clear eyes. But those who didn't share the same realization held on to form and missed the essence. They preserved the words but misplaced the music. Because of this, those who genuinely awaken often adopt a very particular kind of quietness. They don't necessarily fade into silent monasteries, though some certainly do. Instead, they learn to speak in a way that reflects rather than instructs. Their words become mirrors, not maps. They create conditions where others can stumble onto truth by themselves. Like teaching someone to ride a bike. You can explain balance, inertia, and momentum until the sun sets. But unless the person actually climbs on a bicycle, the understanding never becomes real. And once they do learn to ride, they can't fully articulate how they're doing it. The knowing has moved from their mind into their muscles, from concept into intuition. This is how the awakened learn to guide others, not by dragging them across the finish line, but by meeting them exactly where they stand, waiting for the moment when discovery becomes possible. When someone is deeply entangled in their spiritual seeking, you don't just tell them to stop. That rarely works. Instead, the wisest approach is to let them seek, relentlessly, passionately, until they exhaust themselves completely and finally collapse into the realization that the journey they've been chasing was never away from home. If someone is trapped in the cycle of trying to improve themselves, you don't say, "Drop it, self-improvement is a trap." You let them climb, polish perfect, until one day they notice something astonishing. The one who wants to improve is the same one who felt broken all along. This is what Buddhists call skillful means. The art of meeting people exactly where they are and giving them precisely what they need to take the next step, all while knowing deep down that the steps themselves are mostly steps in place. The journey isn't moving forward. It's learning to stand still, because everywhere you could possibly go is already here. And here's another layer. The truth itself is alive. It isn't a recipe or a formula, something you can hand over like bread. Each person must discover it freshly, in their own experience. If it's recycled, if it's borrowed secondhand from someone else, it ceases to be the real thing. Think of it like love. You can hear people describe it, read the symptoms, study the poetry, and yet until you fall in love yourself, you haven't truly known it. And when you do, your experience is yours alone, even if love itself is universal. Awakening is the same, universal in essence, but utterly unique in expression. The flavor of each realization is one of kind, impossible to translate fully into words or doctrine. There's also a practical reason this truth stays hidden. Society. Society is a collective agreement to take the game seriously. We treat money as if it's real value. We agree that our titles define us. We pretend that time flows linearly, that death is final. These agreements aren't bad, they're necessary. You can't play chess if you ignore the rules. You can't function in an economy without acknowledging the currency. The issue arises when we forget it's all a game. Awakening reveals the game for what it is. But you're still in it. You still need food, shelter, and to interact with others who are taking rules very seriously. So the awakened learn to participate fully while knowing it's a game. They act as though things matter, yet remain unattached to usual meanings of success, failure, or loss. If everyone woke up at once, society would collapse. The awakened realize this and choose to navigate the world gently, to be in it but not of it, as the Christians put it. They live in two realities at once. Fully engaged in the conventional world while rooted in the ultimate reality. When Christ said, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's," he wasn't separating spiritual from worldly life. He was pointing to this dual awareness, this delicate balance. Another reason for keeping quiet emerges here. Compassion. Real, unflinching compassion. Not the sugar-coated kind that wants everyone to feel good, but the kind that sees yourself in everyone else. When you truly recognize the oneness of all things, you understand that everyone is exactly where they need to be, even in suffering, confusion, or error. This doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean ignoring harm or chaos. It means stopping the impulse to force your awakening onto others. It means allowing each person their unique path, trusting that their suffering, their forgetting, their mistakes are part of the universal dance. Perhaps some must forget more deeply before they can remember. Perhaps some must hit rock bottom before rising again. The awakened move like water, flowing, adapting, finding the lowest point without complaint, reflecting all without judgment, nourishing without favoritism. This is how one operates from awakened consciousness: fluid, unobstructed, compassionate. Yet, here's a gentle reminder. Even after awakening, you remain human. You still get hungry. You still get tired. You still prefer chocolate over kale. And that's perfectly fine. Even after awakening, emotions still arise. Joy, sadness, anger, desire, they haven't disappeared. The difference is that you no longer mistake them for the core of who you are. You watch them appear and vanish, like clouds drifting across an endless sky. The sky itself never changes, yet it contains every storm, every gust of wind, every ray of sunlight. This is why those who have awakened often appear so ordinary. They have become flawless beings who never stumble or feel pain. They've simply recognized the transient nature of all experiences and stopped taking them as absolute. The personality, the human character, continues to operate, but now there's a space around it, a subtle lightness, a gentle humor about the entire play. And here's the clever trick of this ordinariness. It keeps the truth hidden. If awakening instantly transforms someone into a superhuman, floating above the ground, radiating perfect calm, everyone would notice immediately. They'd put you on a pedestal, misinterpret your freedom as something to chase or idolize, and completely miss the essence. Instead, the awakened move through life as ordinary people who happen to be free. They can serve, teach, or guide without creating a cult of personality. Their liberation is subtle, woven seamlessly into everyday life. But this truth isn't a one-time achievement. Oh, there may be sudden illuminations, flashes of seeing through illusion, but integrating that vision into daily living is gradual. It's like learning a new way of seeing. At first, clarity comes in brief moments, then longer stretches. Eventually, the new perspective becomes natural, your default mode of being. Yet even then, layers remain. One dream ends, another begins. One illusion dissolves, and another awaits your recognition. This isn't discouraging, it's exhilarating. The adventure never ends. There's always another depth to explore, another facet of yourself to recognize, another dimension of the infinite to experience. And here's a crucial point. Awakening isn't an escape from being human. Some people discover this truth and then use it as a spiritual bypass, a way to avoid relationships, responsibilities, or their own inner work. Nothing matters, they say, so why bother? But this is just another ego trick, another illusion of separation. True awakening embraces everything. It doesn't reject the human condition. It sees through it and accepts it fully. You become more fully human, not less. Emotions become richer, not muted. Relationships become authentic, not performative. Life becomes more engaged, not detached. Because fear of loss dissolves, you see that there was nothing to lose in the first place. So when we say the truth must remain hidden, it doesn't mean lying or denying it. It means living it, embodying it. Let presence be your teaching, not your words. Presence cannot be faked. Knowledge, wisdom, even compassion can be imitated, but presence reveals itself naturally. Those who have truly awakened exude a subtle, unmistakable quality. Others sense it without needing a label. They feel safe, seen, accepted. In that safety, curiosity awakens. People begin questioning their own assumptions, wondering if perhaps there's another way of being they haven't considered. This is real transmission, not through lectures or doctrine, but through the resonance of being. The teacher doesn't give the student anything. Presence alone reminds the student of what they already are. It's like two tuning forks. One vibrates, and the other gradually begins to resonate at the same frequency. Sometimes, even stories or memories of a teacher can spark awakening in someone who is ready. The form doesn't matter, readiness does. And readiness can't be forced. You can plant seeds, but you can't control the growth. Some seeds take years to sprout into mighty trees. Others remain dormant. You plant anyway, not for results, but because planting is your nature, just as bearing fruit is a tree's. Now, you might wonder, but Master Wisdom, you're writing, speaking, teaching, aren't you violating your own principle of keeping the truth hidden? Not at all. The purpose isn't to give the truth. It's to give permission, to show that questioning, exploring, and direct experience are allowed, to demonstrate that being yourself is enough, and striving to become something else is optional. I speak in circles, in paradoxes, intentionally. I build ideas only to collapse them. Why? To frustrate the conceptual mind, to show that truth can't be captured in concepts. Eventually, if you stay with it long enough, you stop trying to grasp it and simply listen, not with the mind, but with your whole being. And in that listening, a gap opens. This is the art of teaching without teaching, pointing without pointing, saying without saying. Zen masters have used it for centuries, offering koans, unsolvable puzzles, not to solve, but to exhaust a rational mind. When the mind finally surrenders, a space appears, a space where awakening can quietly unfold. And in that quiet gap, reality itself can shine through. But even describing this is too much. Explaining the method defeats it. So, forget what I just said. Or better yet, don't forget it and don't remember it. Just let it be, whatever it is. There's a Zen story that captures this perfectly. A monk approached a master and said, "I've heard you know the secret of enlightenment. Please teach me." The master simply poured him tea, and poured, and poured, even after the cup overflowed onto the floor. "Master," the monk protested, "the cup is full. No more can go in." "Yes," the master replied. "Just like this cup, your mind is full of opinions and assumptions. How can I teach you unless you first empty it?" But here's the twist many miss. Emptying the cup isn't the goal. An empty cup is no better than a full one. The aim isn't fullness or emptiness. It's freedom. The freedom to be empty when emptiness serves, full when fullness serves. To hold ideas lightly, using them as tools rather than being enslaved by them. This is awakening. You are free. Not free from life, but free within life. Not free from thoughts, but free from believing every thought. Not free from emotions, but free from being ruled by them. You can play the games where the masks tell the stories, but you know the truth beneath them. There's no face under the mask, no separate self under the story. And here's the cosmic joke. Once you realize there's nowhere to go and nothing to achieve, you're free to go anywhere, do anything. Once you realize you're already complete, you can become whatever you wish. Once you see that nothing really matters, everything suddenly becomes infinitely precious. Liberation from the game doesn't remove the game. It frees you to play it fully for the first time. But, of course, if I tell you this, you'll just file away as another spiritual idea. Ah, yes, nothing matters, so everything matters. Got it. And yet, you don't get it. How could you? Understanding belongs to the mind. Awakening transcends mind. It includes mind, but it is not limited by it. So what am I really doing here? I'm pointing, not at the words themselves, but at what the words are pointing toward. I'm inviting you to look at your own direct experience, rather than the stories you've been told about experience. To question the questioner, witness the witness, observe the observer. If you do this sincerely, something remarkable can happen. You might discover there's no one there doing the looking. No experiencer separate from experience, just experiencing. And in that realization, everything shifts, not because the world changed, but because you stop pretending it was anything other than what it is. This is a truth that must be kept hidden, not locked away, but hidden in plain sight, in the most obvious place imaginable. Hidden in this moment, in this breath, in this very experience. Hidden as you, not from you. Why must it be hidden? Because seeking it is what keeps it out of reach. The search is the obstacle. The desire for awakening is the dream you need to awaken from. So stop looking, not because you've given up, but because you realize there's nowhere else to go. You are already standing at the center of everything. You are already it. You were never not it. You cannot become what you already are. You can only stop pretending to be something you are not. When you drop the mask, when you stop pretending, when you simply are, underneath all conditioning and belief, you see why this truth is both hidden and obvious. Everyone is searching everywhere, but here, everyone seeks what they already have. Everyone tries to become what they never stop being. The awakened person stops pretending to be separate, limited, knowing or not knowing. They simply are what they are, which is what everything is. This is the eternal presence that looks out of every eye, thinks every thought, lives every life. And in that simplicity, that utter ordinariness, lies the deepest mystery, the greatest truth, hidden yet in plain sight, invisible yet always here, not hidden yet unnoticed, not distant yet unreachable by any effort or motion, here, now, always, as you, as everything, as nothing, as the question, the answer, and the quiet space between them. This is what cannot be taught. It must be discovered. This is what cannot be handed over. It must be recognized. This is what cannot be explained. It must be lived. And so the awakened walk among us, their secret hidden in plain sight. They wait not to instruct, but to remind, for you to remember what you've never forgotten, to see what you've never stopped seeing, to be what you've never ceased being. Wake up, but don't try. You cannot wake up because you were never truly asleep. You've only been pretending, so convincingly that even you believed it. So stop pretending or don't. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Dreaming and waking are two notes in the same infinite symphony. And that, my friends, is the truth that must be kept hidden. Hidden from those who chase it as something apart from themselves. Hidden from those who would turn it into another belief, system, or path. Yet it is revealed, always revealed, to those who pause, to those who drop assumptions and meet reality as it is, to those who dare be fully themselves, without apology, without explanation. The secret, it is you. The truth, it is you. The teacher, you. The teaching, you. Everything else, merely commentary. And now, shall we have some tea?